Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Anime1 back with another video, and today I'm here with another part of What If Naruto was taken by Jiraiya for 3 years, part 13. So if you guys like the content in the channel, subscribe to the channel, and also like this video. It really helps, and let's begin the video. The streets were lively as they were in the day, but one thing was noticeable to Naruto. The people were starting to slowly go back to their homes and resting places, for those who were worn out of the town. It was strange how sometimes Naruto didn't have much to think about rather than the present, but a topic weighed quite heavily on his mind: becoming the clan head of both his clans. Now that he was a Jonin, his political responsibilities had significantly increased, not to mention that he was now the last of both of his clans. One good thing about this was, though, he would now be allowed to live in his parents' house freely. Before he could dwell on it further, Jiraiya spoke. Naruto. Naruto looked at him and motioned for him to continue. I think it's time for you to learn the Rasengan. While I was out searching for Tsunade, I brought some stuff for you to train. Naruto raised an eyebrow and Jiraiya pulled out a balloon filled with water. Jiraiya applied chakra to the balloon and pop. The balloon popped. Could you do that again? Naruto asked. And Jiraiya nodded and popped the water balloon again with his palm. Naruto eyed the balloon carefully before nodding. I think I know what you did. Jiraiya looked at him curiously but nodded and gave him the water balloon. Naruto looked at the balloon and the balloon started shaking. Then it popped. Jiraiya's eyes nearly came out of their sockets as he looked at Naruto. How did you get that in the first try? Naruto smirked. Well, when he popped the balloon the first time, I saw the balloon was shaking towards all the direction instead of one. So I thought, to pop the balloon, I need to circulate my chakra through the balloon in all directions, Naruto said as Jiraiya's sweat dropped. All my doubts are cleared. He's definitely smarter than Minato, he thought. Then Jiraiya took out a rubber ball. Well, this is the second step, Jiraiya said as he popped the rubber ball. Let me guess. This is for increasing the power, Naruto said as Jiraiya nodded and gave him Naruto the rubber ball. Try it. Naruto focused on the rubber ball and it started shaking and a small hole appeared in the ball as Jiraiya smirked. Even if you know what the exercise is, for mastering it is a completely different thing, he said. Naruto sighed and made 5 shadow clones. Let's get to work, boys, he said as all the shadow clones grabbed the rubber ball and started training. Next day, Naruto and Jiraiya were walking while Jiraiya was asking people if they had seen Tsunade. Naruto had a rubber ball in his hand. Come on, damn it, Naruto thought as the rubber ball popped with a small hole again. As Naruto took out another rubber ball, if I keep the chakra flow at its max constantly, it should do the trick. Why didn't I think of this before? Naruto thought. Naruto kept the rubber ball in his hand. Now, he thought, as he started to channel his chakra through the rubber ball. Now keep the flow constant, he said as sweat started dripping from his face. Boom! Jiraiya looked to see Naruto sent flying away with the chakra coming out of his hands. Jiraiya quickly ran towards Naruto before he could hit the building and caught him. This kid, he thought as he looked at Naruto's hand. Man, that's some chakra. He burned his own hands, Jiraiya thought as he carried Naruto on his back to the hotel. 2 days, and he has already completed 2 stages of the training, he thought with a proud smirk on his face. Next day, both Naruto and Jiraiya were in an empty field. Okay, kid, now for the final step. It's containment, Jiraiya said as Naruto nodded. From what I can see is I have to use the first and the second form together and contain it, Naruto said as Jiraiya nodded. And when you do that, you get this, Jiraiya said as he formed a Rasengan. Now get to it, kid, Jiraiya said as he left to search information about Tsunade. And by the way, Naruto only used one hand to perform the first two stages of the step, and Kurama and Naruto are friends, so Kurama is not messing with Naruto's chakra control, so let's continue. It has been few days and Jiraiya got the information on where Tsunade was, and he and Naruto were walking. Naruto had almost mastered the Rasengan, just 2 days more and he would get the jutsu down. Hey, Erosenin, he nudged the man walking beside him, spread out his senses, and had located a large source of chakra they were going towards. It was slightly larger than that of Jiraiya's, and that was saying something, since the sage had massive chakra reserves. Another source of chakra was right next to it, an average source of chakra, Jonin level at max. Huh? Jiraiya looked over to his student. What? I sense a large source of chakra, slightly larger than yours, a few meters away. Naruto said as Jiraiya blinked, and he saw a bar. I think it's coming from there. Let's check it out. I'm pretty sure that you're hungry. Jiraiya said as Naruto nodded. As they entered the bar, Jiraiya's eyes roamed around the entire bar, taking in everything. A couple, 3 tables to their right, a disguised nobleman at a bar, and a thief sitting right next to the nobleman, unaware of the disguise of the finale. His eyes came to rest upon what, or rather, who they were after. Tsunade! Jiraiya yelled, as he was actually shocked at seeing her. Tsunade's head jerked up, and Naruto could tell by the blush on her cheeks that she was well on her way to get wasted. Jiraiya! Her shock was more genuine. Naruto could tell that she was truly surprised on seeing her former teammate over here. Her gaze then shifted onto him, her eyes widened as if she had seen a ghost. A cup in her hand dropped as she looked at him. Tears started flowing at the corner of eyes. Tsunade quickly rushed towards Naruto and gave him a bone-crushing hug. You're alive, she said, crying in his shoulder. Naruto, who was shocked as hell by the hug, raised an eyebrow. Yeah, I am alive since I'm standing right in front of you. After some time, Tsunade broke the hug and looked at him. Let me take a good look at you, she said as she looked at him. He's a carbon copy of Minato, just with whisker marks. You're so cute, Tsunade squealed and hugged him, making the other shirt dropped. I bet you have a horde of fangirls back home, Tsunade said, laughing. She seemed to have forgotten everything that happened today. She was finally happy and didn't want to let go of that feeling. Shizune was shocked as hell. Tsunade and Jiraiya were watching the scene with a smile on their faces. Please don't remind me of those fangirls, Naruto said as he gulped. I already had fangirls at the academy, and when my heritage was revealed, the amount just skyrocketed, Naruto said again as Tsunade suckled. Then she looked at Jiraiya, who had a perverted look on his face when Naruto said he had fangirls. If you use my godson for your research, I'll remove the thing that makes you a man, she said as Jiraiya's expression changed completely. Let's have a seat. We have a lot of catching up to do, Tsunade said as she and the others sat down. Now, tell me first, how the hell is he alive? Tsunade said, pointing at Naruto. Naruto and Jiraiya had a confused look on their faces. What do you mean? Jiraiya asked. Sensei sent me a letter saying that Naruto was dead at the night of the QB attack. What? Naruto asked. That doesn't make any sense. The old man tried everything in his power to protect me. He even sent me with Jiraiya sensei on a 3-year training trip. If he knew you were willing to take care of me, he would have definitely given me to you. Naruto explained. Something is off here, Jiraiya said. What did that letter look like? Jiraiya asked. A normal Kage letter with his signature and stamp. Tsunade explained. The letter was gone and she destroyed it at the moment that she read it. Well, forget about that. So Brad, how is life? Tsunade asked while sipping a bit of her sake. She wanted to know about her godson's life since he wasn't there at the beginning of his life. It was rough in my early years, but I'm good now, Naruto said as Tsunade raised an eyebrow. Rough? Tsunade asked, since he was genuinely curious about what he meant by rough. Actually, since the tuning exams, they stopped calling me a demon and trying to kill me, Naruto blurted out, only for Tsunade's face to twist into one of anger. She forgot that Naruto was a Jinchuriki and she knew very well how most of them are treated in their village. Did they hurt you? She asked, with so much fire in her eyes that the table slightly cracked from the pressure of her fist. Don't worry, they're over it now, Naruto said, calming her down. I showed them that I could use the Hiraishin and that I'm the son of the greatest hero of Konoha, and now they worship me, Naruto said, shaking his head. How people could be so superficial? Naruto was the one who was the demon of Konoha one night, and the next, he was the prince of Konoha. But I hold no grudge against them, Naruto said. Tsunade blinked. You can use the Hiraishin? She asked, as Naruto nodded. I even advanced it a little more than Dad did, he said with a grin as Tsunade's jaw dropped as Naruto chuckled at the reaction. Well, at least I know that you didn't abandon me. You were tricked, and if I had to guess, it was Danzo, since he didn't want anyone to take care of me. Tsunade's mood dropped when she heard him say that. She had abandoned him, but she could barely blame him. She hadn't been there for his entire life, and after she heard what he was gone through, that just made it worse. By the way, Jiraiya, why are you here? Tsunade asked as Jiraiya sighed, as might as well be a difficult conversation. Elders has asked us to find you and tell you that you have been chosen for the seat of the fifth Hokage. Jiraiya said as Tsunade sighed. The moment Jiraiya said elders wanted her to become Hokage, she remembered what happened with Orochimaru. She agreed to meet him in 1 week. If she cured his arms, he would destroy Konoha. She turned back to Jiraiya, dismissing him just like that. Anyway, I'll pass. Only fools become Hokage. Naruto rose an eyebrow in amusement at her reasons, whereas Jiraiya pouted. That's pretty harsh for me, you know. My greatest student became a Hokage, you know. Yeah, and where is he now? She returned, though not as harshly as before. All I'm saying is that the track record for being Hokage isn't the greatest. Even Sensei, the man comes back after death of his successor and just died in the recent invasion. Even your student, he only wasted his life saving that village from the QP. She looked at Naruto with a raised eyebrow to emphasize her point. How dare you say that? Naruto asked. Gigi, my father, took the Hokage position and died defending the village they loved. Naruto was explaining. Exactly. They all died for nothing, Tsunade said. They died protecting the village they loved, and we should continue their legacy and protect the village that they created, Naruto said, but Tsunade seemed too reluctant to agree with until a devious idea crossed Naruto's mind. How about a bet? Naruto asked as Jiraiya smirked. What kind of bet? Tsunade asked as he was completely focused on Naruto now. You and me, outside. If I kick your ass, you return to the village and become Hokage, Naruto said as Tsunade pondered. He's just a genin, Tsunade thought. Agree, but if you lose, I'll get all of your money and no QB, she said. Okay then, let's take this outside then, Tsunade said, as they all walked outside out the middle of the street. Outside. On the outside, Naruto and Tsunade were facing each other, while Suzune, Jiraiya, and Tonton were watching but at the side. Last time back out, Tsunade said, giving him a chance. I never give up. I will never surrender because to be Hokage is my dream, Naruto said with unbreakable fire behind his eyes. Tsunade smirked. As she saw a image of Nawaki behind Naruto. Do as you wish. If you win, I'll throw in this necklace as well, Tsunade said, as Shizune's jaw dropped, as well as Jiraiya's. Hashirama's necklace, huh? Naruto amused. Let's go then, Naruto said as he took a stance. Jiraiya was shocked that Tsunade was willing to wager that necklace to Naruto, but he shook his head. He knew what was going to happen, but he felt that Naruto should learn a bit of humility. He was getting way too overconfident. He sliced the air in front of him. Hajime. Naruto took out a single kunai as he spread his legs in a rather loose stance. She has a pathetically fragile ego. If she needs to beat a kid less than half her age to make her feel herself better. Jiraiya was closely watching Naruto. He was sure of one thing. Naruto definitely had a plan to beat Tsunade, and judging from the confident look in his eyes, it was as if there was no way that he would be losing. He stopped right there. A dead silence filled the alley once again. Jiraiya actually smirked when he realized what Naruto had done, and mentally applauded him. Shizune simply gaped in the ridiculousness at what happened. Naruto had won in less than a second. Tsunade froze in shock as he felt a cold steel of the kunai resting in her jugular vein. She slowly turned around to see the cold arrows her eyes staring right into her own. Same eyes that reminded her of the boy's father, who was feared across the world. They were the eyes of someone who wouldn't hesitate to kill, even for a second. How? She didn't even see the boy move. There was no movement at all, not even a blur. 1 second, he was standing 10 meters away from her, and the other second, he had a kunai resting on her neck. The only thing she had been able to notice was a tiny yellow flash. In her shock, she didn't even think further upon that. Naruto retracted his kunai and put it back in his holster, as if he hadn't just gotten a drop on a Sanin. Maybe because he already had done it before. He smiled. Doesn't matter, does it? You lost. Nade still hadn't been able to figure out just how Naruto had won. She watched as he walked with a spring in his steps back to Jiraiya. Naruto had won, it's fair and square, but there was one thing that buzzed her about him. Naruto smiled as he reached Jiraiya, who was standing there, smirking. Mission accomplished. Jiraiya shook his head. I don't believe you did what you just did. You put a formula on her when she hugged you, didn't you? Naruto was quite adept at reading people. Naruto had noticed when he had said that he would become Hokage. The slight widening of her eyes indicated that she had a previous encounter with the same words in her past. Combining that with her hatred for the position of the Hokage and her past, it was logical that someone close to her had the same dream. He meant that he was getting through her. He needed one last push to make her think in his favor. How about another bet? Naruto's words snapped her out of her memories as she quickly looked at him. Before she knew, the words fell out of her mouth. What's your wager? Watch, Naruto said, as his right palm faced upwards in a half position. Chakra swirled around for a few seconds, and Naruto slammed it into a nearby tree. As you can see, I have not mastered the Rasengan yet. Jiraiya, you taught him that? Tsunade said. My bet is if I master the Rasengan in a week, you come back to the village. And if you win, they will never ask you to become Hokage and leave you alone. Naruto said as Tsunade smirked. Ah, brat. And I was just starting to like you. But I know it's a bet that I can't lose. Tsunade thought to herself. It seemed to be fair enough, but she wanted to test his resolve. Just how far was he willing to go to bring her back? Just that. But if you lose, you will quit being a ninja. And Jiraiya and Suzune looked at her in disbelief. She wasn't rattled at all. She sternly looked at Naruto, who had a frown on his face. These are my terms. Take it or leave it. Naruto nodded. Very well. See you in a week. With that, he abruptly turned around and walked away, with Jiraiya following him after giving a two-finger salute. Shizune rushed to her master. Tsunade-sama, that was very cruel of you, she said. He is the boy I've wanted to take care of as my own son, and if there is any way to ensure that he'll be safe, I'll take it, she said, as she looked forward to her collecting her new winnings at the end of the week. But there was still one thing that bothered her. Naruto didn't look worried at all. Naruto walked completely carefree alongside Jiraiya, who shook his head and chuckled. I can't believe you made her do that bet. You downplay your own self deliberately, didn't you? You could very well master it, like you said, in 3 days at most. Naruto smirked minutely. It's better if my opponents underestimate me. It only increases my chances of winning. Jiraiya frowned. As impressive as that may be, it was quite underhanded of you. Winning by fear does wonders to your conscience rather than the unfair ones. Naruto gave a look to Jiraiya, who suddenly felt as if he had spoken something extremely foolish. He slowly spoke, as if speaking to a child, making the older man feel even he was more stupid. We're shinobi who live in a world of deception. Since when did we start playing fear? Naruto shook his head as Jiraiya laughed sheepishly. As they reached their room, Naruto closed the doors and went to sleep.